Thank you so much, Paul. It's fantastic to be here with you today. We've got an amazing panel lined up, and I'm going to bring them out. So first we have Robert Joseph, who is the Director of Strategy for, Industrial Strategy for Industry 4.0 at Stanley Black & Decker. Next we have Enrique Rubio, who is the founder of Hacking HR. And finally, we have Suff Syed, who is the head of product at Publicis Group Marcel. So I actually would love for these gentlemen to give a little bit more of an introduction of themselves and what they do and how they are, I guess, qualified to be here today when we discuss the future of work. So let's start with Robert.
Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? All right. This is an awesome conference. My name's Robert Joseph. I work for Stanley Black & Decker as the Director of Industrial Strategy for Industry 4.0. I also have been a university professor for a number of years, as well as have a PhD in computer science from Carnegie Mellon, degrees from MIT, and I love technology. And the most proudest thing I am is of my 2 teenage boys. They're great kids. Thank you.
All right, great. Let's go on to Enrique.
Hello, everybody. And my name is Enrique. I am an electronic engineer. Now I work in HR. Quite a change from engineering to HR. I created a global community that is called Hacking HR. And what we're doing is we're talking about the intersection of future of work, technology, and the impact on people and organizations. So very relevant for the conversation that we are going to have today. And I live in Washington, D.C. So anybody here from Washington, D.C. or up that way?
Yeah.
A couple of hands back there? All right.
Excellent, thank you. And then last, Suff.
Hey guys, I'm the head of product at Publicis, at this amazing product that we're building called Marcel. I am what John Maida calls a computational designer. So I've had the amazing privilege of having dabbled in deep computer science and machine learning problems while also being a designer in my day job.
Excellent, well thank you guys so much. So we got a lot of clappers. I like this enthusiasm this morning. You guys have had your coffee already, I can tell. So first we're gonna jump right in. We don't have too much time today, so if you do have questions, these guys are gonna be around the conference today. You can find them, go up to them. I'm giving you full permission to, oh, we have one more. We have Zach Pousman, who is the CEO of Helpfully.
Hello.
So yes, welcome, Zach.
Hey, Annie.
Can you give a very brief description of why you're qualified to be sitting on this panel today?
I saw the panel starting and I was like, I'm on that panel. I run Helpfully. We are a company that works very much to help our clients find plausible and possible futures and take advantage of them. So we use a lot of design and strategic work to help companies think about the future in new and better ways.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Zach. We're happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so we are going to get right into it. Again, find these guys afterwards around the conference if you'd like to speak to them and ask questions. But first, I want to talk about the hybrid workforce. So right now, humans are becoming augmented by machines, which is changing the way we do work. So I really want to know how you guys are seeing this affect your organizations and how you're planning for future implementation of this, as well as how you're leading the charge. And I'd like to start with Suff because the product that he's developing is very specific to this hybrid workforce.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Publicis is a 93-year-old organization. It has about 80,000 people across the world in 4,500 different clients and 1,800 individual companies. It's a very complex organization, and we just had our next big acquisition in terms of Epsilon, which brings in another 14,000 people. So it's a very complicated and a complex data problem to solve. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a platform that's powered by machine learning in order to go and understand the data within the organization a lot better. And what that simply means is, we are seeing some incredible people come into the workforce from the millennial population and the Gen Z population that aren't really used to work the way we did in like the last 5 or 10 or 15 years. So our ambition is to help you work the way you live. It's, getting an Uber is as simple as tapping a button. Getting your dinner for the night is as simple as ordering something on Seamless or speaking to your Google Assistant or Amazon Alexa. And when you see this amazing crowd come into the workforce, there's an immediate disconnect. And that's the problem that we're trying to solve for. So Marcel, in its very simple terms, is helping us understand the people better, helping us understand the organization better, and allowing the data and democratizing the data for the organization in order to start being a lot more effective from a day-to-day basis. And that's what we think is called the augmented employee. So leveraging machine learning to democratize information from within the organization to make things a lot more transparent and clear.
Fantastic. And yeah, that sounds like something that can reach such a wide span of people. That's incredible. I want to get a little more specific and talk to you, Robert, about how this hybrid workforce is impacting the manufacturing space.
Yes, absolutely. So Stanley Black & Decker, you're mostly known for manufacturing. We do a number of other things: oil and gas, healthcare, security, a number of other avenues. But in manufacturing, you're starting to see a lot of things like cobots, where robots are working hand in hand with people. And we're also, one of the things that I'm in charge of is data science and building data science techniques that help to augment people's skill sets. So it's, when I think about the change in the workforce, I think about the change not just in what people are doing, but also how they're thinking about what they're doing. So there's an emotional component to it, there's a physical component to it, and there's a change in mindset component to it, so that you're collaborating not just with the technology, but you're understanding some of the fundamentals of that technology too.
Excellent. And Zach, I know that you are working on some projects that are extremely long term. So when you are, I guess, planning things for 10, 15 years in the future, how is this hybrid workforce affecting the work that you're doing?
Yeah, I think we like Robert and Suff said, I think as we consider the workforce of the future and how that plays into what big companies can and should be thinking about, we think a lot about people keeping the skills that they're so good at. So there are a few different models, but one of them is all the C's, so thinking about collaboration that you mentioned, thinking about the ability, right, to be caring, right? That's a human thing that even with big technological advances, we're not going to see technological systems get better at caring. They're going to stay in their lane. But your new colleague, right, might be a human, might be an AI, might be some other kind of piece of technology. When you think about that, there are still going to be skills, right, that humans have and won't give up. And instead, we need to double down on that. I mean, what I think the advice that I often give is we should double down on the things that only humans can do. So creativity, collaboration, caring. Those are the ways in which we're going to find valuable, creative, expansive, humane things for us all to work on, even as we add lots of augmentation from other systems.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great segue into talking about the people behind these new jobs. And one term I heard recently was new-collar jobs, which are these jobs full of independent work, like Airbnb hosts and Uber drivers and Instacart delivery people. I know that you, Enrique, probably have a unique perspective on that, since you are now in HR, no longer engineering.
Nope.
So you are working with the people who are doing these new jobs. What have you seen, and I guess how are you preparing for that shift?
Yeah, what's interesting, a couple of years ago, Upwork, I don't know if you guys know Upwork, they released research saying that the workers that are getting faster for the future of work are those that are doing freelancing work and not those that are working for established companies, which is really interesting because they know that not only the work will be, or the new world of work will be shifting to more on-demand workforce, but they know that for them individually to stay up to date with everything that is happening, they must retrain themselves. So I see that in the Hacking HR community that we're creating. I have conversations with people from all over the world, and independent workers and people in their own companies working to reskill either themselves individually or their own companies, or their own employees in their companies. But I want to ask you actually a question. How many of you are, if you can raise your hands, optimistic about the future of work? Because I'm always curious. Optimistic about the future of work. How many of you have a little bit of like hesitation or are a little bit scary about what's going to be happening in the future of work?
Can we be optimistic and scared? Because I am.
Optimistic and scared, yeah. So, all these workers in this new kind of workforce, the gig workforce, are getting ready for what's going to be happening. We're not sure what the future of work looks like yet. The same way a lot of you are looking at your smartphones now, but if you had asked us in 2007 if we were going to imagine what we were going to be doing today without smartphones, probably not too many people would have said anything. So the same way we cannot really imagine what the future will look like in the next 10 years. We know that we have to get ready, and they are getting ready faster than employees in established companies. So the call to action here is get ready. Get ready fast, very fast.
Well, and something that goes in hand with getting ready for this is just continuing education. And something Robert said to me in our initial discussions was, I guess, touching on how we learn to learn, which a lot of people have issue with. Can you elaborate on that, Robert?
Sure. One of the biggest things I also teach, and one of the things I teach my students is not the subject matter, but I actually talk with them about learning how to learn the subject matter. And the reason being is because technology is changing so fast, and what you learn today isn't going to be what you use tomorrow. But the techniques for learning what you know today will be useful going throughout the future. So my advice to everybody is to really get in touch with learning how to learn things quickly, and then continuing to build that knowledge and continuing to expand the things that you know. And when you start doing that, you start to put things in an abstract level where you can take what you've learned over here and apply it to other things.
Yeah.
Great. So I noticed that Suff was kind of like hesitant raising his hand for the optimism as well as the scaredness. So, I mean, we are talking about, do humans have room in the future of work? Something that you work with is really streamlining the things that we do so that we have more time to do the things that we love. So how does that impact the economy? What are your thoughts on, I guess, how we can handle it if there is a huge shift in people actually doing the work?
Yeah, I think you first start with where Zach started. Like, the lens that we need to apply is robots are going to be amazing at doing certain tasks that are mundane and repetitive, and you can offload all of that to the robots and the machines. And as humans, this allows us to focus on the heavily creative tasks, which we're incredibly great at, but also in combination with the machine. So, Jay-Z could potentially bring out on his next album with a collaboration with the machine. I think that leads to incredible areas. And also to what Robert said is, learning is going to be such an incredible aspect, like the concept of the growth mindset and the learning mindset, that we as humans need to inculcate and incubate within our own, workforces, and also just for a day-to-day work life. That all of those things are great, but you also have the concept of the governments being able to do more, and organizations and enterprises being able to do more. So you have this concept of UBI, which is universal basic income. Should everybody just get $1,000 every month unconditionally in order to accelerate that change? Because as quickly as we see technology moving, and as quickly as companies like Google and Apple and Tesla are rolling out these machines that can drive themselves and think for themselves, human beings aren't evolving fast enough. So in that context, we also potentially have the concept of enterprises willing to give out free services for people around. So sure, the government can do the whole UBI thing, but if you're a Google and if you're making a shit ton of money through the services that you sell to enterprises that automate so many people's work, can you actually offer up free services for people who are going to run out of jobs very soon? So that all of this is pretty much the way that I see the economy being shifted.
Yeah, you got something to say?
Yeah, I just want to say something on that. And I think we're changing, and a lot of people are getting ready for this thing that we call the future of work, but we have to be very clear about the fact that we're not getting ready fast enough. McKinsey released a report last year saying that anywhere between 375 and 800 million jobs worldwide will be displaced or replaced by technology. That is 1/3 of the global workforce being replaced by technology. We are not getting ready in this country and in other countries for these times of accelerated transformation. So, if I could say, or if I could tell you one takeaway from this conversation that we're having right now is to go back to your startups, your companies, whatever function that you are, and start getting ready, visualizing the kind of skills that your company will need to remain relevant, not necessarily in your one silo, in your one industry, but also across the board, learning the kind of skills that you will need to be using in order to be able to move around different industries, because probably your industry, whatever you are, marketing, finance, HR, technology, operations, it doesn't matter, you will get disrupted. Those companies will get disrupted. Now, is it gonna be you or is it gonna be somebody else? That's, to me, the question that is always lingering in my mind.
It's a race we all have to run.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we have to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zach, did you want to chime in there?
I think when I think about the prescription, right, given this reality for people who are lucky like us, right, to be in this room today, professional class workers, I think one of the skills that people need to think about is their skill of translation. So the ability for you as a worker to have some deep expertise, some strength in the world, and maybe that is the thing, right, you get to do every day at work. Your job is soon to be translating that into other domains, using your knowledge of your domain to apply it across domains. One thing that AIs are very good at is figuring out what is a cat on the internet or what is a hot dog. But what they're not very good at is that deep, meaningful work of actually translation. And I think people need to become better translators for their particular skill set or their domain. So if you spend all your time thinking about design or thinking about product, right, you need to think about, well, how does that apply into a different business context? How do I take what I do and apply or translate? I think those are some of the ways that we're thinking about the future of work and the future of ways people need to learn. One of the things you need to learn is that, right? Not just your domain, but how it applies in other places.
Yeah. So since we are almost out of time, I'm going to ask one last question, and I want you guys to try and just give one little snippet of information for the audience to take with them. So we have established that this is coming. There's nothing we can do about it. This is happening. What is something either your organization is doing or you can give advice to other organizations to help them be flexible enough to adapt? So rapid fire, 1 to 2 sentences each. Zach, you want to start?
Sure, mine will be quick. If you're a designer in this room today, and you do UX design, graphic design, you work on product, get out of the button-making business as fast as you can. AIs are going to take over making all the buttons. You don't need to lay out where buttons go on any page or any app screen. Get out of that business right away. Start today.
All right, see if you got something to follow that with.
Well, as the resident UX designer, he stole my answer, but
I'm so sorry.
I'm going to say focus on the people. And then the business will take care of itself. Because most often, CEOs focus on their business and their business strategy and then tend to forget where the people are heading. I would say focus on the people and focus on providing meaning to their people.
Fantastic. All right, Enrique?
Just get together with communities where you can learn from them. I think our world is moving to a very, very complex time of transition, very, very painful and complex. So we need more togetherness and less isolation to resolve the complex challenges we're going to be dealing with.
Fantastic. And Robert, what do you have for us?
I would say have fun.
I like that answer.
Life is wonderful and enjoy it. I mean, some of it is, things are coming, things are always coming. Enjoy life.
Awesome. Well, let's give our panel a round of applause.